Picture this. It's 1931. Along the banks of the Solo River on the Indonesian island of Java, a team of geologists is working when they stumble upon something extraordinary: fossilized skulls. These weren't just any old bones. They belong to a species of ancient human we now call Homo Soloensis, or Solo man. What makes them so special? Well, at first, they were thought to be about 500,000 years old, placing them firmly in the middle of the human evolutionary story. But recent, more advanced dating techniques have completely rewritten their timeline. It turns out, Homo Soloensis was walking the Earth as recently as 108,000 years ago. Now, why is that date so mind-blowing? Because it means they were alive at the same time as us, Homo sapiens. For a long time, the story of human evolution was told as a straight line, a simple progression from one species to the next, with us at the very top. But Homo Soloensis shatters that idea. They were one of the last surviving populations of an earlier species, Homo erectus, holding out in a tropical paradise long after their relatives elsewhere had vanished. While Homo sapiens were spreading out of Africa and Neanderthals were dominating Europe, this unique group of archaic humans was thriving in a world all their own. So what was this world like? Welcome to Sunderland. During the Ice Ages, lower sea levels exposed a massive landmass that connected Java, Sumatra, Borneo, and mainland Southeast Asia. This wasn't a frozen wasteland. It was a vast tropical savanna woodland, teeming with life. Imagine herds of giant ancient elephants called stegodons, prehistoric buffalo, deer, and formidable predators, like tigers. This was the environment Homo Soloensis had to navigate. They were expert hunters, living in a world that was both a bountiful buffet and incredibly dangerous. The fossil evidence found alongside them paints a picture of a rich and dynamic ecosystem, a lost world where they were the apex human predator. This brings us to a really fascinating point. Homo Soloensis managed to survive and thrive for an incredibly long time, possibly for over 100,000 years in this specific region. They were an island-bound population, isolated by rising and falling sea levels. This isolation likely played a huge role in their unique evolutionary path and their eventual fate. They were a testament to the resilience and adaptability of our ancient relatives. While other Homo erectus populations went extinct, the Solo man persisted, a holdout from a bygone era, living on the very edge of the world known to other human species. One of the most intriguing questions about Homo Soloensis is how they thought and behaved. When we look at our own species, Homo sapiens, and our close cousins, the Neanderthals, we find a lot of evidence for what we call symbolic culture. This includes things like cave art, personal ornaments like beads and pendants, and complex burial rituals. These artifacts suggest a capacity for abstract thought, for creating meaning beyond just survival. But when we look at the archaeological sites associated with Homo Soloensis, we find nothing. No art, no jewelry, no fancy burials. Their toolkit was practical and efficient, what we call the Achillean industry, consisting of well-made but relatively simple stone hand axes and flakes. This lack of symbolic evidence is profound. It suggests that it's possible to be a highly successful, intelligent, and long-lasting human species without the complex symbolic world that we often assume is essential to being human. Homo Soloensis challenges our very definition of what it means to be advanced. They were masters of their environment, capable of hunting huge animals and surviving for millennia in a challenging landscape, all without painting on cave walls or wearing shell necklaces. It forces us to reconsider the idea that art and symbolism are the only measures of evolutionary success. Perhaps for them, success was measured in a different way, in generations of survival, in deep knowledge of their land, and in the strength of their community. So, how does this change our understanding of human evolution? It demolishes the linear, ladder-like model for good. Instead of a single-file line marching towards modernity, we need to imagine a tangled, branching bush. Different human species coexisted, sometimes interbred, and often lived in completely separate worlds. Homo Soloensis was a long, successful branch on that bush, one that just happened to lead to a dead end. Their existence proves that there were multiple ways of being human. Our path, the one of Homo sapiens, with its complex technology and symbolic culture, was just one of many experiments that nature ran. Other experiments, like that of Homo Soloensis, were just as valid and for a very long time, just as successful. Their story is a powerful reminder of the diversity of our own family tree. We weren't alone. For hundreds of thousands of years, the planet was home to a variety of human-like beings, each with their own strengths and adaptations. The world of the late Pleistocene was a much more interesting and perhaps more crowded place than we ever imagined. The discovery of solo man shows us that evolution isn't a race towards a single finish line. It's a sprawling, unpredictable journey with many different paths. So, what happened to them? Why did they finally disappear around 108,000 years ago? The answer likely lies in the very environment that sustained them for so long. The climate began to change. Their open woodland savanna habitat started to transform into a dense tropical rainforest. The large herbivores they relied on, like the stegodons and buffalo, couldn't adapt and died out. For Homo Soloensis, a specialist hunter of open plains, this would have been catastrophic. Their food source vanished, and their hunting strategies became useless in the thick, closed canopy jungle. Unlike our own species, which proved to be a versatile generalist, Homo Soloensis may have been too specialized to make the switch. And so, the last of the Homo erectus lineage faded away. They weren't wiped out in a dramatic battle with our ancestors. Instead, they were likely victims of climate change, their world changing faster than they could adapt. Their end is a quiet, poignant story of an ancient people being overtaken by unstoppable environmental forces. They were the last of their kind, a final echo of a more ancient way of being human. Their story preserved only in the fossilized bones left behind by a Javan river. They represent a lost chapter in our own epic story, a reminder of the other human worlds that once existed alongside our own. Have you ever heard of a mysterious group of ancient humans who lived on an island, facing a world of constant change? Today, we're journeying back in time to meet Homo Soloensis, the man from the Solo River, found on the Indonesian island of Java. These fossils paint a picture of a robust and resilient people, perfectly adapted to their unique environment. What did they look like? How did they survive? And what secrets do their bones hold? Let's dive in and uncover the story of these fascinating ancestors. First, let's talk about their appearance. Imagine a human with a very distinctive look. Homo Soloensis had a long, low cranium, quite different from our own high, rounded skulls. Above their eyes, they sported a prominent bar-like brow ridge, giving them a very stern expression. Their skulls were also incredibly thick, thicker than almost any other known hominin. But what's truly interesting is when you combine this with their body proportions. While their skulls look very archaic, almost like Homo erectus, their limb bones suggest a body plan much closer to ours, fully modern in stature and proportion. This tells us they were tall, slender, and built for efficient movement. They were a fascinating mosaic of ancient and modern features, a unique evolutionary experiment. This combination wasn't a mistake. It was a successful strategy for the world they inhabited. One of the biggest questions in human evolution is about the mind. How intelligent were our ancestors? When we look at Homo Soloensis, their brain capacity was quite large, falling within the lower range of modern humans, averaging around 1100 cubic centimeters. That's a lot of brain power. But here's the puzzle. Despite this large brain, we find very little evidence of symbolic behavior. There are no signs of art, burials, or personal ornaments, things we associate with modern human cognition. So we have a hominin with a big brain, but seemingly without the complex symbolic culture that often goes with it. What does this mean? It suggests that a large brain doesn't automatically equal art and ritual. Perhaps their cognitive abilities were channeled into other areas, like complex social interactions, navigating their environment, or mastering incredible survival skills. It is a powerful reminder that there isn't just one path to intelligence or one way to be human. So if they weren't creating art, what were they doing? They were crafting tools, and they were very good at it. The tools found with Homo Soloensis are part of what's called the ingandong industry. These aren't just simple choppers. We see a variety of flakes, scrapers, and even some tools that might be spear points. The interesting thing is the material they used. Many tools are made from chert and chalcedony, but also from silicified volcanic rock. What's more, the technology shows a level of standardization and planning. They weren't just randomly bashing rocks together. They understood the properties of different stones and how to shape them for specific tasks, whether it was butchering an animal, scraping hides, or working with wood. These tools are the silent testament to their ingenuity and their ability to solve the practical problems of daily survival. They were skilled engineers of the Stone Age. Now let's picture the environment. Java during this period was a tropical landscape, a world of dense forests, open woodlands, and winding rivers. Life in the tropics presents unique challenges, like heat, humidity, and different types of diseases. The anatomy of Homo soloensis tells a story of adaptation to this very world. Their tall, linear build, with long limbs relative to their body mass, is a classic adaptation for dissipating heat. It's a body plan we see in many modern human populations living in hot climates today. This physique would have made them excellent endurance walkers and runners, able to cover long distances efficiently, whether they were tracking prey or moving between resource patches. They weren't just surviving in the tropics. They were thriving. Their bodies were finely tuned machines for life near the equator, a testament to natural selection shaping our ancestors for over 1 million years on these Indonesian islands. So what was on the menu for Homo soloensis? How did they fuel their large bodies and brains? The answer lies in the bones, both theirs and the animals they lived with. Biomechanical analysis of their limb bones suggests they were physically powerful and capable of strenuous activity, pointing towards a life of active hunting and gathering. The animal fossils found alongside them are a who's who of prehistoric megafauna, ancient elephants called stegodon, wild cattle, deer, and even hippos. Wear patterns on the hominin teeth and the stone tools strongly suggest a diet rich in meat. They were likely apex predators working together to hunt these large animals. Imagine the skill and cooperation it would take to bring down a stegodon. But they probably weren't just eating meat. In a tropical environment, they would have had access to a huge variety of plants, tubers, fruits, and nuts. Homo soloensis was a versatile omnivore, a skilled hunter with a deep knowledge of their local ecosystem, capable of exploiting a wide range of food sources to survive and flourish. In the end, Homo soloensis represents a remarkable chapter in the human story. They were a unique blend of ancient and modern traits, with large brains and capable bodies perfectly suited for the tropical world of Ice Age Java. They were skilled toolmakers and formidable hunters who thrived for thousands of years in a changing world. Yet their story ends in mystery. They eventually disappeared from the fossil record, likely replaced by the arrival of our own species, Homo sapiens. But their legacy endures in the fossils they left behind, challenging our ideas about what it means to be human and showing us the incredible diversity of our own family tree. They are a powerful reminder that our evolutionary journey was not a simple, straight line, but a rich and complex web of different peoples, each with their own story to tell. What does it mean to be human? For decades, we've told ourselves a story. Our intelligence, our very essence, is tied to symbols. Cave paintings, intricate tools, burial rituals, these are the markers of the modern mind. But what if that's only part of the story? What if a highly intelligent human species thrived without leaving behind a single symbol? Today, we journey to the island of Java, Indonesia, to meet a mysterious ancestor, Homo soloensis. Their existence challenges everything we thought we knew about the dawn of human cognition. Let's set the scene. It's the late Pleistocene between 550,000 and 143,000 years ago. On the island of Java, a unique environment is shaping a unique kind of human. This isn't the open savanna of Africa or the cold steppes of Europe. This is a dynamic, challenging landscape. Homo soloensis lived here, and what's fascinating is what they didn't leave behind. We find no art, no beads, no abstract carvings. By traditional measures, we might dismiss them as primitive, but that would be a huge mistake. Instead of focusing on what's missing, let's look at what they did. The evidence suggests Homo soloensis was a master of functional cognition. Think of it like this. Symbolic cognition is like writing a cookbook. It uses symbols, letters, measurements to represent a recipe. Functional cognition is like being a chef who can walk into any kitchen with any ingredients and cook a brilliant meal just by understanding the principles of heat, flavor, and texture. It's intelligence in action, not in abstraction. So how do we know they were so smart without the artifacts we usually look for? We have to become cognitive archaeologists. We have to look at the indirect evidence of their behavior, imprinted on the environment and their own fossils. For example, their survival in a complex, ever-changing island ecosystem wasn't a matter of luck. Islands are notoriously tricky. Resources can be scarce and unpredictable. You have to be incredibly adaptable to make it. This environment would have relentlessly selected for problem-solving, flexibility, and a deep, practical understanding of the world. Let's talk about planning. To survive in Java, Homo soloensis needed to think ahead. Not just about the next meal, but about seasons, animal migrations, and the location of resources. Imagine tracking a herd of stegodon, the extinct elephants of the region. This isn't a simple chase. It requires understanding animal behavior, predicting their movements over days or weeks, and knowing the terrain intimately. It's a complex cognitive puzzle that demands long-term planning, all without drawing a map or writing a plan. Their planning was etched into their minds, a mental map of their world. And what about tools? While they may not have had the fancy, stylized tools of later humans, their technology was perfectly suited to their needs. The tools they made required a sophisticated understanding of stone mechanics, how to strike a rock at just the right angle, with just the right force to get a sharp, usable flake. This is a skill that takes time, practice, and instruction. This brings us to another key cognitive ability: teaching. Complex skills like tool-making or efficient butchery aren't just picked up by watching. They are taught. We can infer that Homo Soloensis had a way to transfer this crucial knowledge from one generation to the next. This doesn't require a formal language with grammar and syntax. It can be done through demonstration, gesture, and imitation, a master-apprentice relationship. Imagine an elder guiding a youngster's hand, correcting their technique, showing them the subtle signs of a good stone. This is teaching, a cornerstone of culture, and a sign of a complex mind. Then there's memory. Not just remembering where the fruit trees are, but what we call episodic memory, the ability to mentally travel back in time. This is crucial for learning from past experiences. Last time we hunted in this valley during the rainy season, the river was too high. Let's try a different route. This kind of thinking, linking past events to future plans, is a hallmark of advanced cognition. Homo Soloensis must have possessed a powerful memory system to navigate their challenging world successfully. They carried their library of knowledge in their heads, not on cave walls. Perhaps most impressively, they had to coordinate. Hunting large animals or navigating dangerous territory is often a team sport. Social coordination requires a level of cognitive sophistication we often take for granted. You need to understand what others are thinking and what they intend to do. This is called theory of mind. You need to communicate, perhaps through gestures and vocalizations, to execute a shared plan. You go that way, I'll go this way, and we'll corner it by the rocks. This complex social dance, performed without symbolic language, is a testament to their social intelligence. They were a community of minds working in sync, so why does this matter? It forces us to rethink our definition of the modern mind. We've been biased by the archaeological record. Symbols are durable. They last for millennia. The intricate workings of a mind that expresses its intelligence through action, planning, and social cooperation? That doesn't fossilize. Homo Soloensis is a powerful reminder that there are many ways to be intelligent. Our own symbolic, language-heavy way of thinking is just one path on the great evolutionary tree of cognition. By focusing solely on symbols, we might be suffering from a kind of archaeological visibility bias. We're only seeing the things that were made to last. Homo Soloensis shows us a different model of humanity, one that was functionally brilliant, socially complex, and deeply in tune with its environment, all without the need for art or abstract symbols as we know them. They weren't a failed experiment or a primitive dead end. They were a successful and highly intelligent species, a testament to the incredible adaptability of the human mind. Their legacy isn't written in stone carvings, but in the very fact of their long survival on the edge of the human world. They prove that the human mind, in all its forms, is far more diverse and wondrous than we ever imagined. Ever wondered what life was like for our ancient relatives, long before cities, writing, or even farming? Let's travel back in time, about 100,000 years ago, to the island of Java, to meet a fascinating group of archaic humans, Homo Soloensis. We often picture ancient life as a brutal, solitary struggle. But what if their world was built on something much more powerful? What if it was built on community? The key to understanding Homo Soloensis isn't found in grand monuments or elaborate burials. They didn't leave those behind. Instead, their story is whispered through the fossils and tools they left for us. The evidence points to a life lived in small, tight-knit bands, maybe just a few families, moving together through the tropical landscape. Think of them not as a crowd, but as a close-knit crew. In a world full of challenges, from unpredictable weather to large predators, this small group size was a huge advantage. It meant they were mobile, flexible, and could make decisions quickly. Everyone knew everyone, and trust was the currency of survival. But what really sets their story apart is the subtle evidence of care. Among the fossils discovered, some show signs of healed injuries. An individual with a broken bone wouldn't have survived alone in the wilderness. They would have needed others to protect them, bring them food, and help them recover. This isn't just about instinct, it's about empathy. It shows that these ancient people looked after one another, even when a member of their group was vulnerable. This simple act of caring for the sick or injured is one of the earliest signs of a truly human society. And this care extended to the next generation. How did a young Homo Soloensis learn to survive? Not from a textbook, but by watching, listening, and doing. Imagine a child shadowing an elder, learning which plants are safe to eat and which are poison. They'd watch skilled hands flick a stone into a sharp cutting tool, practicing the motions over and over until they got it right. This wasn't a formal school. It was a continuous, hands-on apprenticeship. Knowledge was the most valuable thing they had, and it was passed down directly from one person to another, a chain of wisdom stretching across generations. Every lesson was a lesson in survival. Life on a tropical island like Java presented unique challenges. Unlike the open savannas of Africa, this was a world of dense forests and winding rivers. Hunting here required a different strategy. You couldn't just chase down an animal over long distances. Instead, it demanded teamwork and clever planning. Picture a group of hunters working together. Some might create a diversion, driving an animal like a deer or a wild pig towards a trap or an ambush point where others waited. They would have needed to communicate, perhaps with gestures or simple calls, coordinating their actions perfectly. Foraging was just as important. The tropical environment was a giant pantry, but you had to know what you were looking for. Some members of the group, perhaps those with years of experience, would lead the way in gathering fruits, roots, and insects. They knew the seasonal cycles, where to find water, and how to avoid the dangerous creatures lurking in the undergrowth. This wasn't just random wandering. It was a systematic cooperative effort to feed the entire band. Everyone had a role, and everyone's contribution mattered. Success wasn't measured by individual strength, but by the group's ability to work as one. This level of cooperation requires a special kind of intelligence. We're not just talking about being smart enough to make a tool. We're talking about social intelligence, the ability to understand and navigate a complex web of social relationships. In a small band, you had to know who to trust, how to resolve conflicts, and how to read the moods and intentions of others. You had to be able to anticipate what someone else was thinking during a coordinated hunt. This practical social know-how was just as critical as any physical tool. It was the software that ran their society, allowing them to collaborate, share resources, and thrive together. Their minds weren't just for solving practical problems. They were for connecting with each other. So when we put all these pieces together, the small groups, the evidence of care, the transfer of knowledge, and the cooperative hunting, a new picture of Homo Soloensis emerges. We start to see their culture. For them, culture wasn't about art or ceremony in the way we think of it today. Their culture was survival. It was the sum total of all the behaviors, knowledge, and social strategies that allowed them to live and raise their children in a challenging world. The way they made tools, the way they cared for their sick, the way they taught their young all of this was their culture. It was a practical, living thing, constantly adapting to the world around them. Ultimately, the story of Homo Soloensis is a powerful reminder that for humans, community has never been a luxury. It's our most fundamental survival strategy. They may not have built pyramids, but they built something far more important and enduring, a society based on cooperation, care, and shared knowledge. They show us that long before our own species, our ancestors understood that we are strongest when we are together. Their silent world, without written words or grand rituals, was still filled with the essential human drama of helping, teaching, and depending on one another. And in their story, we can see the deep roots of our own social nature. Imagine a world, not so long ago, where we weren't the only humans. A world teeming with different human species, each with its own story. Today, we journey back to the final days of one of our closest yet most mysterious relatives, Homo Soloensis, the man from the Solo River. Their story is a dramatic tale of survival, competition, and ultimately, disappearance. What happened to them? Did we, Homo sapiens, play a role in their demise? Or was it something far larger, a force of nature that sealed their fate? Let's unravel the mystery of the last stand of Homo Soloensis. To understand their end, we first need to picture their world. Homo Soloensis lived in a vast tropical paradise that no longer exists, Sundaland. During the ice ages, when massive amounts of water were locked up in glaciers, sea levels were much lower. The islands we know today as Java, Sumatra, and Borneo were all connected to mainland Southeast Asia, forming a single continuous landmass. This was the kingdom of Homo Soloensis. It was a world of sprawling rainforests and open woodlands, rich with diverse wildlife. They were the apex predators here, skilled hunters who had adapted perfectly to this environment over hundreds of thousands of years. They were a successful, resilient people, masters of their domain. But the world, as it always does, was about to change. Then, a new group of humans arrived on the scene. Us, Homo sapiens. Anatomically modern humans began expanding out of Africa, and by around 50,000 to 70,000 years ago, our ancestors reached Southeast Asia. This set the stage for one of prehistory's most significant encounters. Imagine these two distinct groups of humans meeting for the first time. Homo Soloensis were robust, with strong brow ridges and a brain size comparable to ours, but a differently shaped skull. Homo sapiens were more gracile, with a different set of tools and social structures. The question is, what happened when they met? Was it a peaceful coexistence, or was it a clash of titans? The evidence points towards competition. Homo sapiens were incredibly adaptable. We had more complex symbolic thought, sophisticated language, and innovative toolkits. These advantages might have given us a critical edge. Think of it like two businesses competing for the same market. We might have been better at exploiting a wider range of food resources. If a particular animal became scarce, we could switch to hunting smaller game, fishing, or gathering different plants. Homo Soloensis, being highly specialized hunters of large game in their specific environment, may have been less flexible. We were the generalists, and they were the specialists. In a rapidly changing world, the generalist often has the upper hand. We simply outcompeted them for food, for territory, for the very resources they needed to survive. But it wasn't just about us. A far greater force was at play: climate change. As the last ice age came to an end, the planet began to warm. The colossal ice sheets at the poles melted, and the water flowed back into the oceans. The results for Sundaland were catastrophic. Sea levels began to rise, slowly at first, then more rapidly. What was once a vast continent began to flood. Coastlines retreated, low-lying plains disappeared beneath the waves, and the single landmass fractured into the islands we see today. The world of Homo Soloensis was literally shrinking, drowning beneath the rising seas. This geological transformation had a devastating impact on their ecosystem. The open woodlands and grasslands they depended on for hunting large animals like the stegodon, an extinct elephant relative, began to vanish. In their place, dense, impenetrable rainforests expanded. This is a phenomenon known as niche collapse. The specific environmental slot that Homo Soloensis had evolved to fill was disappearing. Their entire way of life, built around hunting large prey in a specific type of landscape, was becoming impossible. The game they hunted either went extinct or moved, and the new environment was alien to them. They were trapped on shrinking islands, their food sources dwindling, and their world closing in around them. So we have two major factors: competition from Homo sapiens and a catastrophic loss of habitat due to sea level rise. This leads us to the two main theories about their ultimate fate: the replacement hypothesis and the absorption hypothesis. The replacement hypothesis is the more straightforward and perhaps more brutal scenario. It suggests that as Homo sapiens expanded and as the environment changed, we simply replaced Homo Soloensis. We took over their territories, outhunted them, and they were pushed into smaller and smaller pockets of land until they eventually went extinct. They were a dead end, a branch of the human family tree that was pruned by competition and climate change. But there's another, more intriguing possibility: the absorption hypothesis. This theory suggests that Homo Soloensis didn't just vanish, they became part of us. Could it be that as our populations met, we interbred? We know for a fact that Homo sapiens interbred with Neanderthals and Denisovans. Traces of their DNA exist in many modern human populations today. Is it possible that the same thing happened with Homo Soloensis? Perhaps their final populations were so small and isolated that they were absorbed into the much larger, incoming gene pool of Homo sapiens. In this scenario, they didn't truly go extinct, but their unique genetic lineage was diluted over generations until it was no longer distinct. Their legacy would live on, hidden within our own DNA. Currently, The evidence for this is inconclusive, as we haven't yet been able to extract DNA from Homo soloensis fossils. But it remains a tantalizing possibility. So, what can the story of Homo soloensis teach us? It's a powerful lesson in adaptability. Homo soloensis was a successful species for a very long time, perfectly adapted to their world. But when that world changed, they couldn't adapt quickly enough. They were specialists in a world that suddenly demanded generalists. Their fate is a stark reminder that the key to long-term survival isn't just about being strong or smart, but about being flexible. It highlights how vulnerable even a long-established, dominant species can be to a combination of environmental change and competition from a new, highly innovative rival. Their story is our story too. It's a chapter in the epic of human evolution, a tale of a world we once shared with other kinds of humans. The disappearance of Homo soloensis, whether by replacement or absorption, marked one of the final steps towards us, Homo sapiens, becoming the last human species on Earth. It's a sobering thought. We stand here today, alone, the inheritors of a world once populated by a diverse family of hominins. Studying their end helps us understand our own beginning and our unique place in the history of life. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the deep past. The story of our ancient relatives is still being written, with new discoveries changing our understanding all the time. If you found this fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the mysteries of human evolution. What do you think happened to Homo soloensis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.